I figured it out, guys. I figured out the solution to our world's problems, to all of the crises that humanity is facing right now. And it came to me in a dream. I was hovering in the ceiling of this really large theater. And below me, I noticed that there were all these people arguing with each other. Hundreds and thousands of people arguing with each other. And I just knew who they were. They were all the world leaders of the world. Trump was there. Putin was there. All the world leaders, they were all there. And it just wasn't presidents and prime ministers. It was also the leaders of any organization, of any group, of the leaders of any person who held power in some way over an immense amount of people. Those leaders, they were also there. And they were all arguing with each other, screaming at the top of their lungs, just arguing with each other, finger pointing at each other. But then suddenly, there was a shift. And some of these people, some of them just started laughing. It started as small little chirps. And then it became loud and cacophonous, and people were just laughing at the top of their lungs. But not all of them. Some of them were crying. Some of them just started to cry uncontrollably. Men and women, tears coming out of their eyes, screaming at the top of their lungs as if they were exercising some pain within them. And some were catatonic. Some of them down there, they were just in the corner looking at dead space. And all of these sounds, the crying, the laughing, it all raised through and vibrated through the theater. And it all came to me and hit me. And it felt great. And it felt satisfying. And I knew what was going on. They were all tripping balls. And it was great. And I just knew what had happened. Some scientist or chemist of some kind was able to create the gas version of magic mushrooms. And this gas, you would inhale it a couple of times and it would be the equivalent of taking 5 grams of mushrooms. A heroic dose indeed. And this was what's going on. And I just saw in my mind's eye that I knew where the gas was coming from, and I followed the gas back through a vent. And at one end of this vent, I noticed where it came from. There was this machine, and the gas was coming out of this machine, and on top of the machine there was a red button. And there was a hand on top of this red button. And I looked at this person. And of course, it was me. I was there with my hand on top of this red button. But it wasn't only me. It was millions and millions of people also had their hands on top of this red button, all in unison, all at the same time somehow. And I knew that all of these people were somehow victims of these leaders. They were all below us in this theater. And with our hands extended on this button, we all had the same smile. And I knew what the goal was. The goal was the most amount of change in the shortest amount of time. And we knew that this would be the only way. Nothing else can cause change within someone in a very physical and emotional and spiritual way than psychedelics. And it was very strategic. And there was an equation that we all saw it on our head and we knew that would work. And we all saw the future. And in the future, 50% of these world leaders were able to integrate this crazy ass experience that they had into their lives in a positive way, but they needed guidance. And many of us victims, we were the ones that were there. We was the ones that were guiding them, helping them integrate this experience to something positive. Another 20%, of these leaders, they instantly had a positive effect. They instantly knew that they were somehow symbiotically connected to everyone else and to the earth. And they knew that they just could not behave that were for all these years. But then 20% of these world leaders, they went into a psychotic break and we weren't able to save them. And we knew this was a consequence, but we also knew that no solution was perfect. And although we knew this solution was the most perfect of them all, and this was the day when the real change came to our planet. And it felt great. It felt just. And above all, it felt necessary.